Last week we got a demo of a new site from, so here is, it's still up. There's still a bug, we didn't see anything. We talked about the build pipeline. I'm sure I said something. What did I say about that? I don't remember. I'm sure it was something I did, but I don't remember. Oh. Gabor, you watched the video. What was it? Build pipeline. Don't remember.
Maybe about updating the YAML script or something like that.
I don't think. Okay, let's see. Net 6 because it was supposed to be shipped and we said we need to be ready for when it's shipped, and it has shipped and it's updated. We'll see that today. 11/09/2020. We have demos. I'm sure we have demos. Who is doing a demo? What? What? No demo?
I have a demo today.
Thank you, friends. I bet you had a demo because you usually show up when you have a demo. So that's why I was surprised you didn't say anything, but you were muted, I'm sure. Okay, Ferenc has a demo. Then, do we have topics? Probably. Net 6. So we'll see what's happening. Dropping TFMs, and I see that Dean made a comment. I don't disagree with the comment. We'll see what it is. So topics, let's look at the status first. Protocol, which should be up to date, and I will filter on main. Yep, I will filter on main. Main. Going back to here, we merge that before meeting, and then okay, so fix. Oh, maybe the build pipeline was the, I know now. Okay, thank you. It was because we fixed the build pipeline to push on Docker and NuGet. So that was the change. Okay, so fix typo in full text filter from echo. Typo separate. Okay. Avoid no-ref exception in tenant creation. Less code is better. So what was the exception? Get profile async. Get feature profile async. Okay. Here. Looks good. Fixes and the ref. Bootstrap 5.1.3 in setup. So for the setup screen, we use Bootstrap 5. Okay. Fluid 220. Antoine updated it. It's dangerous, but yeah. So what did I change with this one? Oh yeah, and I'm not well. I hope I didn't break anything. The idea is that this version, what did I do? I changed the way dictionaries are discovered and passed around, and it impacts the JObject registration. So by the past, we will register JObject, JValue, tell how to get a property from a JObject and how to convert the JValue to a string or integer. And this is necessary because in our truth, everything is a JObject or a JValue. It's just a content property is a dynamic property which is based on JObject. So anytime you have a liquid template that displays something, it's using the JObject and JValue mappings that were defined in the options. And with this version, you don't need custom mapping. So, but it's supposed to still handle them if they are there. So in theory, updating this library should also update the code to remove the mapping for JObject and JValue. It should be automatic now. But in theory, it should not be breaking if you keep the mappings. So to be tested, if someone doesn't see their property being outputted anymore, that's probably because of that. So I bumped the inner version and just because maybe it's risky. So that HtmlSanitizer update, minor updates, and the sharp and sanitizer. New article. Oh, Kevin, what an article. New recommendation. Query content based on taxonomies. Lots of samples for taxonomies and templating, that's good. And queries, so queries. Interesting. That is wrong. Should be awaited. So this should be awaited. Good. Make HTTPS URL first. What does it change? Why do we care?
Because of Visual Studio Code.
Ah.
It tries to open HTTP
First.
instead of...
Okay. Thank you. Interesting. Oh, that's a launch setting. That's not an ASP.NET configuration. I was like, if it's an ASP.NET, doesn't matter. They are both served. But okay, this is a VS Code thing. And so why have two of them then? Why not just one? That's weird.
Because by default, Kestrel opens up both parts.
Yeah, but this is a launch setting. So this is, or is it sent to Kestrel also? I don't think so. This is just for VS Code. So there should be one.
Yeah, the issue that I was having is that it was trying to go to HTTP and 5001 every time I was starting.
Okay. Actually, there is a launch URL here.
Yeah. And this one is for IIS, I think.
Okay, so that may be for IIS, but then why is it taking? Ah, that's weird. That's a mix up. There is a mix-up. Yeah, it should just open this one. Okay, this is for IIS, but then the order shouldn't matter. That's weird.
Yeah.
And this is a profile for IIS. So this is a profile for Kestrel. So I'm confused.
Yes.
but there is one here also. So confusing. I have no idea what anything means here. Profiles, IS settings. So when is that taken into account? Because you also have an IS Express thing. Is it for Visual Studio or is it for VS Code? I think Visual Studio also handles that, so that's confusing. Okay, needs more comments. It's fixing a thing, I'm sure, but it's not understood correctly, I think. At least I don't. URLs again. Well, this was not a big issue, just not taking them in, but we were still setting this. Then okay, okay, okay. That's weird because we are generating these. Pretty sure. No? Maybe not. Trumbowyg resources. Okay. New asset URL shortcode. So there was a shortcode to render an image tag. Now there is a shortcode to just render the URL of the image or the asset. Okay, so if you want to generate multiple times the same URL or generate different URLs for the same tag, now you can do that. Or use the URL for different purposes than just the image tag. There is an asset shortcode, and I think no image shortcode, sorry, and the asset URL. Cool. ZString updated. That's interesting. We merge target.net 6 by default. So now the dev branch, the main branch, targets.net 6 by default, which means if you clone the main branch, you will need the .NET 6 SDK. As a reminder, because people might not know .NET. Okay, that's the easy URL. Download SDK. Sorry, don't click there. Click on all downloads. Or you can click there and then you can see what you can download. I usually go there and say Windows x64, but I believe that this button will download the one from your local computer by default. In the text, Windows, no others. So that download install. Then what this PR does is build and test on .NET 6. These are the functional tests. These are the PR tests. I was confused. I removed the dev branch. So .NET 6 install, run the test, sorry, build on .NET 6 and then run the test on all targets. The targets are defined in this common target framework, right? And this is defined here, 6, 5, netcore 3.1, so 3.1, 5, and 6. By default, if you open Visual Studio, it will target .NET 6.0. Okay. Default target framework. So in Visual Studio, that's defined here somewhere. Somewhere. If it's building in Visual Studio or ReSharper, which means Rider, it will use the default target framework. So it will only build on .NET 6 to make Visual Studio faster. And then these are the package references that we link to based on the target that you choose. So from Visual Studio, it will take .NET 6, but when you build on the command line or when we ship, you can define which target you want. Okay, so if you want to publish as self-contained, you can do -- framework and provide a framework you want. Or --p : default target framework and change this property. So that Nothing changes here. Really is the same thing. Or something that I did right after Docker files, I forgot. And that's also the default for Docker deployments. Either the one for the CI that will ship the thing on Docker Hub, or the sample Docker file to build your own version. Right. What else has changed here? That's this we saw. Just the main change from ASP.NET Core Target Framework to Common Target Framework. This is so the Common Target Frameworks is the list of frameworks that we want all packages and packages to target. So instead of repeating the 3 of them everywhere, we just say Common Target Framework. Okay. And we don't have to change it everywhere. So that, nothing here. Adding in the CLI options the choices. Changes for the .NET 6 to support Razor runtime compilation or not, because the .NET 6 doesn't need that. It's using source generators and hot reload. Functional tests are running on the .NET 6. Benchmarks also. The tests are running on everything. And that's almost it. That's it. So right now the main branch uses .NET 6 by default. And that's the last change there. Questions, comments?
I tested the Docker files this morning, and it seems that the localization are not there. So maybe we need to check again the CI to know why the localizations are not included in our Docker files. And also tried this morning with Visual Studio 2022, trying hot reload, not working.
Oh.
So probably
Right.
something there too.
I will blame Jerry, must have broken it, right?
Maybe because I'm in Windows 11, but that should not be an issue.
Yeah, it was working right. That's why we made this branch first, actually. Because if you saw the videos yesterday to announce Visual Studio 2022, they showed a demo of hot reload, and they used Orchard Core also to open Visual Studio and do that. And that's when I did the change, because they were demoing it and they wanted to try with a big solution. So they asked me if we supported the .NET 6, and I said, yes, we have a branch for that. And I fixed hot reload in this branch, and this is why we did the change here. Where is it? Where is the change? This one. This is when we...
Yeah, Razor.
Yeah, these ones. We did these changes so it will work also with the .NET 6 and the .NET 5 automatically. And so that's why it's not working, because that was the purpose of this branch at first. And that's what they used to do the demo, this branch. Good. Okay, we'll see. Something else first. Antoine updated the issues we talked about. And there is another branch I started to make called YesSQL, but the PR is not called YesSQL, it's called something else, I don't remember. So I updated YesSQL with SQLite 6.0, because SQLite, the Microsoft Data SQLite 6.0.0 supports SQL connection pooling, which makes the perf like be super good. So I think I need to open window like this, because currently the authentication is broken if I use the internal site. So if I go on benchmarks, I'm not sure. Oh, MVC, sorry. MVC here. Yeah, but I'm not sure it's working. So Linux, right? Yeah. So this is using PostgreSQL on Linux, and this is using SQLite on Linux. So 14,000 requests per second on PostgreSQL and 5,000 on SQLite. And this 5,000, this is exactly what we get, what I would get when I do benchmarking locally and I use SQLite because it's easier to benchmark. And when we did some work last year about with that and to make it faster, we were just seeing SQLite bottlenecks. And so the new version contains now SQLite connection pooling. And when I did a test a few weeks ago, it was 15,000 like PostgreSQL. So it's like the database is not the bottleneck anymore because they are both at the same speed now. So that's good. That's with the new SQLite. And this benchmark here is not using it because I haven't pushed the version on the main branch yet, but that's the goal of thing, because SQL now uses SQLite 6.0, Microsoft Data SQLite 6.0. However, I am having issues with two things. Yeah, so yes, I published these packages. So what's the matter now? So there was some change in the filtering. Yeah, so the issue is that I found a bug. As I was running some tests on 3.1 on Orchard with this branch, it started failing. And apparently, in some configurations, I don't know what yet, SQLite 6.0 doesn't work on Netcore 3.1 on Windows. Sometimes it works on my unit test locally, sometimes it doesn't. And when I say sometimes, it depends on the project, so I don't know why. But like the SQL bench, the SQL test, they don't work on Netcore 3.1 right now. And the Orchard core test on GitHub, not locally. Locally they work, but on GitHub they don't work with Netcore 3.1. So there is an issue between SQLite and Netcore 3.1. I find an issue and I explain where the issue was in some test, but we don't know how the environment triggers that. Just if you're interested. Oh. Yeah. Oh. Where is that? So many issues. Maybe this one, 6 comments. Commenting that. So I get this exception, null ref exception, and I found the culprit. So it's testing for this type, Windows Storage Application Data, which is available on some Universal Store, on UWP, whatever, I don't know what to do. And in Netcore 3.1, it's like it's there sometimes, but not completely, because this one will fail. So it's super weird, and just Netcore 3.1. So I made, on this branch, I tentatively removed 3.1, but this is not something you would like to do already, so it's still in this branch. If we update SQL for SQLite 6.0, then it might fail on Netcore 3.1 for Orchard. So if we update SQL with 6.0, then we need to drop 3.1. So probably we'll wait to make one release that targets both Net 6 and 3.1 without this updated SQL, and then after drop 3.1. So we have one version with both 3.1 and 6.0. So you can say, you can port while using the same version of Orchard from 3.1 to 5 or 6.0 if you want. So to be discussed. We'll see what people have to say about that. Right now it's still a PR. We can't open the PR, I think. Dean already commented on that. I thought I had changed the name. Confusing. I fixed that. Might be good to do another release with 6.0 before dropping it around. So yeah. So we'll talk about it. Cool questions, comments? Okay. You can already take dev branch. It has net6, so you can use net6 if you want. That should be faster. I hope you were all using net 5 before, because there is no reason to still use net 3.1. There might be reasons for your based on your dependencies, but usually everything that works on 3.1 works on 5.0. I don't know anything that would block you actually. And from 5 to 6, there is absolutely almost nothing to do. I just removed one method that was just available in 5 because I dropped 3.1 in this branch. So that's cool. Okay. That and that dog demo Ferenc. Ferenc, that's a demo.
Okay. I start the screen sharing. So, okay. So the module which I will introduce is the Lombiq Orchard Privacy module. It's an open source module, and it's help to inform the users about the site privacy policy. This module provides 3 features. The first one is this privacy policy banner. This will show up if the user is unauthenticated, and the user must they can accept or reject this consent, and if they do this, then a cookie will be stored in the browser. This feature is built on the top of the ASP.NET Core cookie privacy feature. So we can configure this stored cookie in the setup file. Yeah. The second feature of this module is we'll add a checkbox to the registration form, and if this feature is enabled, then the new users must accept the privacy policy when they are registered in the system. Yeah, and there is the checkbox. So if I want to create a new user, then I must check this checkbox, and in this case, the banner won't show up, of course. Yes, and the other thing, in this case, the user, the system is stored this the effect of the privacy acceptance in the database. But if there is a user who was created before this feature, they can accept the privacy policy via the banner too. And the third feature of this module is this will I show it on the GitHub page, is a widget, a widget which will provide a checkbox to any form, and it can check. So it will force the user to check this checkbox if they want submit the form, and to validate this action, I created a workflow activity too. And for every feature, there is a setting section, and on these pages we can customize the site privacy information, for example, to the banner or for the checkboxes. So that was the privacy module, which I want to introduce. Thank you. Any question?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 57 questions. Does anyone have question also?
Yes.
Antoine, you first.
Why is it splitted in 3 pages? Why is it not in a single pages?
These settings?
Yeah.
The settings was created with custom settings module. Yeah, first I implemented with a single page, but after some discussion,
don't say, because we'll blame them after, and we should not blame them.
Okay.
So I agree with Antoine. That's weird to have 3 settings there, but that's not just that. So I think Antoine meant that why not have 3 settings, 3 links, but in a sub menu? Why first level like this? It's fine to have 3 menu items, but it should be organized in the settings menu and probably under privacy. So then you can have the 3 other things.
Okay.
However, I will go further than that. Then I will jump on Antoine's suggestion, which is why can you change the UI like this? Why not provide these values as shapes, and then you can change the templates in the template sections or in your theme?
It's a very good question. First implementation of this module was a Orchard 1 module, and this was the way how it implements this functionality.
So on Orchard core, we'll suggest to do that, to use a shape instead. And then because we have admin templates, you can even predefine them in the admin using the shape template. So they are already available, and people can change that or use their own file system one if they want. So that would be a suggestion instead.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So Terry wants to say something.
Yeah, may I add, should we use Bootstrap for the pop-up instead of jQuery UI?
Well, it's because in Orchard 1 it was like this. So it just ported exactly what was in Orchard 1, which was great, right? But it's the same UI, I'm sure, the same HTML. It's really not super modern. But yeah, that's why I think that's what Soteris is saying, because on the web you can find some of them which are typical, but much more modern than that. That's weird, yeah.
No, because I think that in our core we have Bootstrap. So
yeah, it depends on the theme, right? So
yeah.
at that point, you would have to make one per different theme, or have the default use Bootstrap. So it's a choice. I mean, our themes, they use Bootstrap, but if tomorrow you use something else, and then it will download also Bootstrap to just render the pop-up. So I don't know. We have to make a choice, maybe.
Yeah, but now you have to load jQuery UI.
Oh, with the current pop-up that he showed?
Yeah.
I see.
So
yeah.
It's better to load Bootstrap than jQuery UI.
I don't know.
This was sorry. This module was implemented with Bootstrap, but I tried to achieve that looks like the old one implementation.
And in the settings here, can we change? No, it doesn't contain the pop-up, it's just the text, which means here what you type is, I see, it's not, you can't change the design.
With the shape override, we can. This banner is a HtML file or a shape, so
okay.
It's overridable.
And the settings here, they are just some piece of the banner. That's what you mean?
This
or you can show us the file in GitHub. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. This section, the body, is
I see.
Is settings. Yeah.
And the buttons, for instance, I agree, I don't agree, is just translated text.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to change that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you show us the CSHTML file in the GitHub, maybe we can see that you can change everything actually. If it's just another shape.
There is a resource for the banner, and this is the
full thing.
The full thing, yeah.
Okay. And here, if you don't like the text, you can change it, translate it or not. Interesting.
Any other question?
I'm thinking about this one. Questions, yes. When the user is authenticated or can check the checkbox when they register, does it save it in database also?
If they register, it will be stored in the database in the user content item property section.
Okay.
Now it's just the fact of the acceptance, so we don't store any date time or anything else, just that fact the user checked this checkbox.
And is it on purpose?
Sorry, I can't.
I mean, is there a reason not to store the date time because you're mentioning it? You can say I don't know, or you can say
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned it. I mean, if you mention it, I thought for me it means that you had some intent by mentioning it, because maybe it's important I could say then maybe it's illegal to store it and that's why you mentioned it, or maybe you might have thought that it might be interesting to store the date time, like to tell the user, hey, no, you check that on that date, so don't say you didn't check it. You see what I mean? So I don't know. So you don't. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the other feature? The form thing. I don't really understand why it's not just a checkbox and it has to be a custom form part and a custom event. What does it mean? What does it mean to have a consent on a form? It's not related to that, right? It has nothing to do with GDPR or.
Yeah, it's a very funny thing. I re-implemented it because it was in the previous version, the Orchard 1 version of this module. But yeah, it's a very strange thing. And if the user is accept the privacy policy in any other way, like the banner or with registration, the checkbox won't show up.
I see.
By default.
But that's weird to have it on the form then. On the forms, like on the forms in general. That's weird.
If the yeah, it's a edge case, but if somebody wants use that just one for this form, this privacy checking thing, then they don't need to enable the privacy banner or the registration checkbox.
I understand, because you might say, we already asked the user about privacy policy and they agreed, so why ask again? At the same time, some might say, yes, you accepted the GDPR thing, but you might not accept to, I don't know, it might hide the fact that you are also granting more rights. There is not just a single set of rights. So it's not because you click the checkbox on the cookie that you agree that all your information, personal information after that. I don't know, that's weird. That's kind of dangerous, yeah. It's a feature, you don't have to use it, but that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't do websites that will require me to understand all the details of that, but I believe people will have so many details that they would not want to use that. Because it's hiding stuff.
I think in the dotnet Orchard 1 version we use it. Gabor, is it used?
Yeah, this privacy module used in the older .NET side, be it for Orchard 1, and we will use this one for the upcoming .NET Core version for Orchard Core. And yeah, the main idea here is to have 3 different kind of features in these modules that can be turned off or turned off. And I think that's why you could see 3 different submenus in the configuration, because it was done in that way. But yeah, we can have it just in one menu.
Okay,
thank you.
That's cool. That's cool. That's something that we missed. I didn't know. I don't know if anyone else has done a GDPR module already somewhere. We don't have one by default. I think we still have an issue to say we should have one by default, because that's very common. Like, you have to have one now. So that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Anyone? Nobody. All the questions have been asked and answered. Thank you. What else? What else? Sharing my screen. Any topics, any questions? Someone wants to say something, show something, announce something, complain? So Thierry is typing, so now I have to wait for him to type, or he's not typing. And how do I get rid of warning, net SDK, blah, blah, targeting in Visual Studio is not supported? Because I believe Visual Studio, oh.
I have to install Visual Studio.
2022?
Yeah.
Probably.
Otherwise?
Otherwise, you can just target net 5. So you can change the
okay.
the default target whatever in the props file to dotnet 5, and then in Visual Studio it will be 5.0, and that will work.
Okay, thanks.
And I'm sure we could even detect that it's 2029 and just use the default for 5.0 in this case. I don't know, maybe. Jasmine.
Yeah, I think you're right. At the same time, I had maybe another question. Is HtML supposed to work with Visual Studio Code, or
if you use .NET Watch, yes.
Okay.
So in Visual Studio Code, you in the command line, you type .NET Watch, and then it will track the files independently of Visual Studio Code or Visual Studio. It's a console app that will do that.
Okay, I see. And Visual Studio is supposed to work. Okay, so I'm going to try to see why it's not working.
It will work with Notepad also.
Yeah.
Because it will just watch the files independently of the editor.
Yeah, it's a process.
And I demoed that like a month ago when I did the community stand-up. What did I show at this community stand-up? Yeah, I showed Orchard. All the demos were about Orchard CMS, and it was using .NET Watch. Before they removed it, I put it again.
At the same time, you were saying that in the Visual Studio community, the videos that are up right now, they're showing it to work, but it's working with the Orchard Core test project. So I was asking myself, is it really just because it's just the tests that were working, or everything is?
No, I did a new project. I used the NuGet packages.
It's strange.
I used NuGet packages and I created Razor pages. It was beautiful. Decoupled website. Hot reload using .NET Watch. That's the best.
Yeah, I linked the issue that I'm getting on Gitter. It's something about the WebSocket not finding the proper endpoint. So it's really related to HtMl not finding the endpoint.
Okay. Maybe there's a bug. Maybe they broke it.
Yeah, I don't know, because everyone has used the preview version, and now I just installed the final version and it's not working.
Maybe it's broken.
Maybe.
Like you know, they just shipped .NET 6. I'm expecting so many bugs because people are not trying it. Like I found the SQLite one, and you may find the .NET Watch one. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like to update version as they are shipped, because we'll find the obvious bugs and we'll have to do it again.
Well, I like finding bugs and I want this to work, so.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyone else questions? Good, and everyone here was on time because we are all on the same schedule again. So see you next week or Thursday for triage. Bye everyone, thank you.